as you noticed, the Venerable Daniel came to us today from Thailand, and it's part of a global event, mostly within North America. But we try to do a little bit of both global but also local to make it relevant to all of us here in California as well. And the full moon this month is a special moon. We've had special moons over the last few months. We've had our flower moon, right, last month. And today we have a similar sort of theme. Usually the most commonly used name for the full moon this month is the strawberry moon, which is nothing to do, of course, with the color of it, but something more to do with the sort of fruits which are starting to come into blossom at this time of the year. Someone once asked me, what's the big thing about full moons and meditation? Which is a good question, right? Because there's nothing to say that like meditation or to link up with full moons. It's not something which is traditionally done, but it's something that a lot of people give importance to. Yeah? And also there's a lot of superstition, a lot of quite sort of woo-woo ideas out there about the full moon, which sometimes makes people wonder whether it's like really a thing or not to come together on a full moon day to celebrate or not. So some of the sort of suspicions which you get from people who are maybe not so spiritually inclined is that full moons stimulate all the bad things to come out in people, and like maybe it's the time not to come out of your house and not to meet up with people you don't know, especially in the dark. Yeah. But looking around at some of the sort of research that's been done about the full moon and its influence, then you could be forgiven for recognizing that there is a lot of power out there with the changing phases of the moon. If the moon has enough power to pull the tides up and down, then you can imagine what it's doing to all the water in your body, right? And apparently, it's not just the oceans that shift, but when the moon comes closer to the Earth, the actual Earth itself is pulled up by several centimeters just by the power of the gravity of the moon. So you can imagine the sort of immense forces which are involved with the phase of the moon. So it would be a surprise if nothing was going on at all, and some scientists have actually had a look to see what's going on. Is it all these like werewolves come out, or is it like have a strange effect on certain people, or they suddenly have like a schizophrenic shift whenever the moon comes out full? You know, you could wonder. So they did some research, different people, of course. So what they found is that some things change and some things don't. Yeah, nothing too scary, apparently. But for certain bipolar people, especially apparently if their sleep cycles and their body temperatures sync with the phases of the moon, they are more likely to have a shift from depressive to manic on the full moon. So there is something in that. Beware. Yes. As for menstruation, you might think, oh, like something to do with the moon, maybe something there. They did a study of 7.5 million women, and apparently there was no connection. Murder rate, like all these creepy people coming out on the full moon day, they actually did a study of this in Finland, and it turns out that it was lower, not higher, on the full moon. So no worries there. Okay. Sleep patterns, it turns out that yes, there is some changes in people's sleep patterns when it's a full moon, and generally people tend to sleep 20 minutes less than usual on a full moon day. And the last one is cardiovascular efficiency. And turns out, it's a study from 2013, that people's physical efficiency is actually increased slightly during the full moon phase. So there is something there. But generally, we think that there is some sort of energy there, and for those of us who value meditation, then it seems to be a good time to practice meditation, especially together. for our particular full moon this month, according to our favorite book on full moons, the Farmer's Almanac. Then apart from being called the strawberry moon, which is reference to the fruits available at this time, then it's also known as the berries ripened moon, the green corn moon, more Celtic names, horse moon, Diane moon, rose moon, and the planting moon. Also there's the mead moon, which is also Anglo-Saxon. Sometimes the word mead means a sort of drink made from honey, fermentation, but it also means the meadows as well. So meadows, like when you can start to collect in your grass. Hot moon, because it's whether it's warming up. Also thunder moon, lightning moon, because the thunderstorms tend to start to come at this time. And over on the other side of the world, lotus moon, so it's more Chinese, named after a Buddhist flower that is a symbol of purity of heart and mind, which represents long life, humility, honor, and tranquility. So what do we do with the full moon, especially in this phase? It's a time to celebrate the fullness of life, give thanks for abundance, get crystal clear, as we do in our meditation, purge things which maybe are not serving us the best, ground ourselves and meditate more. And as you might also be aware, like the moon is one thing, like the sun is another thing, but it turns out that this time of the year we get both astronomical events happening on the same day and lining up, because we have the summer solstice, today or yesterday. I'm a little bit mixed up because I came from the UK yesterday and it was the solstice yesterday, but I came with the sun, so it ended up being the solstice all day, and it seems to be a solstice again today. Yeah, 21st, something like that. But apparently it's only once in every 20 years that this happens, that the full moon and the solstice line up. So extra powerful, right? And not only that, there's also this phenomenon known as the lunar standstill. Are you interested? Yeah, I teach you astronomy as part of your meditation, okay? Apparently, only once in every 18 years is there a phenomenon where the moon rises to its maximal height at night and also rises from the furthest part of the horizon, giving you the maximum time to look at it. So the moon is in the sky for you to see for the maximum amount of time. So this is known as a lunar standstill. Again, happens only, not in a blue moon, but once every 18 years, apparently. Yeah. Solstice. Well, we know about Stonehenge. You don't know about Stonehenge? I was there. Well, I wasn't exactly there. Apparently they painted it with orange paint to protest oil recently, but normally it's just surrounded by hippies. I think they get a free entrance on part of their pagan religion on this day. But the thing is that the sun lines up with the stones just once a year, and this is a way of telling the time for people who are technologically challenged. So you just like put a few rocks in place and you can tell the time without having to have a smartphone. Yes, very handy. They've been doing this for thousands of years already. But as the full moon is a good time to celebrate the nourishing light and the idea of the seasons, and having stored something but letting it come to fruition is something symbolic which you can also bring into your spiritual practice. A lot of us have been doing hard work in our meditation, but there's a time to let that come through to full fruition, the stuff that we have stored up within ourselves. Not only Stonehenge, but you may also have heard of Manhattanhenge. No? It's like more local, right? Well, a bit closer. And apparently, even the streets of Manhattan line up on solstice as well, with the sun rising. So, yes, there's some wisdom in the town plan for Manhattan as well. So people turn out for that now as well, to see the rising sun or the sunset. I'm not quite sure which that would be. It happens apparently only once a year as well. But solstice is a time where we have our longest day, and from this time on, apart from moving into the summer, but actually the days start getting shorter as well. So there is a lot going on in terms of cosmic energy as a time to think of the good things in our lives, and the time to allow our practice to bed in to the full. For today, some of you are new, some of you have come before, but for those who are new, I would like to say that you might be expecting great things from meditation, and today I hope that all of you have at the very least now a method which you can take away with you to practice further on your own. Meditation is not considered to be like a quick fix where you do it once and like all your problems are solved and you can just sort of carry on with your life, but it's supposed to be like an initiation into something which you can then work with on a regular basis. It doesn't take very much of your time, but the benefits do filter out into other aspects of your life in a way which goes far beyond the amount of time you invest in it. And for those who meditate today, I guess we meditated about 35 minutes, just as an idea, okay? But what I would recommend, if you would like to take it further, is to try meditating, starting out with about 20 minutes of meditation. So you would relax your body, relax your mind, focus inwardly on your inner object or feeling, and if you need to clear your thoughts, then you might just ignore them, or you might use the mantra Samma Arahant to do that. If you can find a time of the day, it can be any time of the day which suits you, when you're not going to be disturbed, when you have good energy, then little by little it becomes habitual for you in a way that it builds day by day into something more substantial in your life. Some people worry about the technique, and it's true that there are different ways in, just like the Venerable Daniel was talking about, making a journey by walking or on a plane or on a ship. You know, the different ways to reach your destination, but they all eventually lead there. The same thing with the meditation techniques, and there are different ways in towards the center of the body, towards the sense of inner peace. Some have more detail than others. Some people like more guidance. Some people like to have less guidance. Some people like a more symbolic way, more allegory in their practice. There's an app called MindGem, which you can download onto your cell phone, connected with these full moon events, which you can play around with up to 200 different tracks on there now, audio tracks, which you can follow along with of different lengths, which you can experiment and find out which one seems to suit you best in terms of meditation practice, until you get used to the technique, and then you don't need to follow along with an audio track. When you have questions, then we do have regular classes going on here every Thursday evening. Some of you know about already. Also every Sunday morning. So Thursday evenings, it's in the building just adjacent with the awning, between 7 and 8 p.m. Every Sunday morning it's between 9 and 11, and generally people congregate for lunch afterwards as well, so between 9 and 11. Also, we do go a little bit deeper on Buddhism for those who are interested. Most of our agenda is meditation-based, but if you are interested in the more Buddhist side of things or would like to meditate longer, every second Sunday of the month in the afternoon, we go a little deeper on Buddhism. So the next one will be coming up on July 14th. Again here, but between 12:30 and 2 p.m. We do some events for kids as well. The next one's scheduled for the 20th of July. So that generally involves kids coming together to have a meal with their friends. Here, bring along a little potluck for the things that they like to eat, which may not be the same as for adults. About 11, and then 12:30 we have a short meditation, usually about 10 minutes for kids, little story, some activities, and if they want to stay on for learning Thai language as well, then that generally happens about 1:30. We have our last Azusa library session of the year on the 15th of July. That's on a Monday evening between 6:30 and 7:30 in the auditorium of the library there. And the next full moon is scheduled for July 21st, so 1 month from now, but that works out as a Sunday. So it will be after the normal events of the day at 6 p.m. And for those who would like to take meditation a little bit deeper, we also have a weekend retreat coming up at the end of this month. So starting this Friday, next Friday, right? Wow, only a week from now. Yes. Generally, I would recommend this being of benefit to those who've been meditating a while already, maybe a couple of months. We come in on the Friday evening, stay over for the full day meditating on the Saturday, and then it ends after lunch on the Sunday. We keep 8 precepts for that. For those who are interested, it means having no meal in the evening, but some other refreshments are allowed. But if you're interested, have a look on the website of Peace Point, and I think you will see the details there. Some people don't want to stay over, that's fine too. Let us know, and you can sort of come early in the morning, go back at night. But some people like to build up the hours of meditation, and generally the more more experience you have, then the deeper you can go in your meditation. So that's a good way to make progress. And our next outdoor event is coming up at the end of next month, outdoor candlelight meditation. We try to organize that always on a Saturday when people are free, but we push it back to 7:30 in the evening for the registration, and the actual event takes place outside between 8 and 9. So it actually will get dark enough for us to see the candles that we have lit. Yes, indeed. So feel free to come to that or bring along family members. Even kids like it as well. But at this point, I will switch over to question mode. And what she said just now, yes, I'd be very happy to hear any questions, comments, or feedback.
Does anyone have any questions and you'd like to raise your hand?
Don't be shy.
Don't be shy, yeah.
Even about your meditation. Yes, go on.
For the retreat,
Yes.
we sign online, right?
Yeah, there's an online thing, forum, I believe. Yes.
Yes.
And any other details, please ask Chintana as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Let's go on. You
Did you try observing all 8 precepts all 3 days?
Yes, that is recommended. 8 precepts is like, it may sound a little bit funny for people who are not used to these sort of things, but there's 3 extra rules about basically not eating in the evening, not getting mixed up with too many distracting things. I generalize a lot, and also not indulging too much in your sleeping habits. So we're not saying that eating in the evening is like bad or immoral or something, but all these things, they are distractions. So the idea is to make a very simple lifestyle so that people can really focus inwardly and focus on their meditation as much as possible.
You want to feel content, but not extremely full. Plus, you'll be meditating for the entire day. Technically, that's all.
Well, for 4 sessions of the
For
day,
4 sessions,
otherwise people will be scared, like, oh yeah, don't move, like 24 hours. You know?
Yeah.
So it's 4 sessions, like a little bit like this one: talk, meditation, 4 times during the day.
So you're not going to be expending a lot of energy. So that's why you don't. It's better if you don't eat in the evening, anyways.
I actually have a couple questions. The first one is around, they both are around this notion of comfort that I found really interesting. One is, I noticed that when I was starting and to relax, I noticed more discomfort in my body. So the comfort led to more discomfort. So I was trying to kind of understand, is that like a passing phase, or how does one kind of navigate that?
So meditation is like working together with 2 aspects of ourselves, the body and the mind, both of which become more relaxed as time goes on. And generally at the beginning of any meditation, you try to relax yourself and you succeed to a certain extent. And then your mind relaxes more and you find that many of the tensions which you thought were just like your normal way of being relax further as well. So as body and mind relax like little by little, as your body relaxes more, your mind can relax more. And that feeds back into the body relaxing more. So that goes in a cycle by which little by little you get even more relaxed both in body and mind. I think the thing to do is not to worry about it, but just to accept it or let it happen. And often it's the case that your observation skill becomes more as you relax more. So you think, oh, look, there's some tensions there I didn't notice before. In fact, they haven't increased, it's just that you didn't notice them before. But even those will go eventually as well if you give them time. Yeah. There's another question?
Yeah, thank you. And the other question is around, so this idea of like feeling comfortable, I feel like that's one way of, I interpret it as like being habitual almost. So like when I'm not trying to meditate, I'm very comfortable in a way. So I'm wondering if I'm really comfortable, then I'm not really meditating, it feels. So I'm trying to understand the distinction.
I think what the Venerable Daniel said about comfort, it's true, but it needs to be qualified a little bit. And really the full-length version is there's a balance we're trying to strike between comfort and concentration, or comfort and focus. So if you want to be really comfortable, you just lie down and go to sleep. But that will not achieve anything for your quality of mind, apart from like waking up and thinking, that was nice. But I reckon you can do that on your own without coming to a class. So there's a sense of striking a balance. So most people, they tend to be more on the concentrated side by default. So he says like comfort, comfort, and more comfort because he's trying to get you to snap out of that and just to let things happen rather than trying to make them happen in your meditation. So in the ideal world, succeeding in meditation would be as easy as falling asleep. You just like, you don't have to do anything to fall asleep, right? You just like let it happen. But in reality, sometimes we need to strike a balance whereby, let's say, we still feel awake even though we are relaxed. So we'll be sitting up to meditate, being, breathing fully, aware of what's going on around us, but not letting it disturb us, not just like going off into some sort of cloud cuckoo land. Yeah. So there is a sense of, yes, an inner comfort, and the comfort itself will lead to that balance happening more quickly than if we try too hard or we try to sort of punish ourselves or beat ourselves up too much about like this being a serious spiritual practice and having to take it seriously and this sort of thing, which tends not to work out so well. So yes, it's like letting it happen, but also being aware that we're working with a balance. Yeah. And the other thing, which I don't know if he mentioned, is that from time to time, going back to make sure that that balance is something we've managed to sustain, and if it's not, then constantly adjusting it to make sure the balance sort of flows for us as well. So that's part of the work of meditation. Yeah. Yes, go on.
So my experience was I was dreaming. Is that part of it?
Well, you were awake, right?
Yes.
So, actually this is okay. And I'll describe what it's like. Once you get yourself in a good place in meditation, it's like your mind does its own thing, but you're aware of what's going on. So it may seem like daydreaming, but in fact you have set the conditions by which this happens, and you are sitting there not falling asleep, but observing it and letting it happen. And little by little, this will lead towards a mind that will be truly still and peaceful. So it's like along the way, you have lots of things coming up in your mind, which will evolve and gradually quieten down into something which is like a true stable experience. But you have to let the daydream sort of run through to completion, like to reach the end of the movie in effect, in order for that to happen. Sometimes it takes a while for you to get the end of the movie, but you have to sit through the whole of it in order to get there. So the idea is, if this happens again, you might pick it up slightly further down the line or whatever, just let it run through to completion, don't judge it, don't get happy or disappointed by the process, but just let it follow through, and in the end your mind will settle to a point which is sometimes known in technical language as the standstill of the mind, where the thoughts just stop completely or run out, at which point your mind will sort of engage with where it needs to be.
So that means maybe I could have gone longer?
If it were a longer practice, it would gradually filter through to a point where there's no more.
All right.
Some people take 6 hours. Some people it's less time than that. But if you do meditation every day, then you gradually work through a little bit more each day until you come to that point where the mind has nothing more to daydream about. But if you go out in your life and you do lots of like really crazy things, then you have more things to dream about again.
Okay.
So if you can not add to the crazy stuff, then it gradually will get to a point where there's no more sort of content to work through, and your mind will just come to this standstill point. Yeah.
Thank you.
When there's no more thoughts, then that is like really real clarity for the